Welcome, dear dream traveler, to Sleep Hypnosis, your sanctuary of calm stories and hypnotic journeys. If you enjoy these dreamlike wanderings, I invite you to follow the channel so that you may return whenever your heart longs for another night of gentle travel. Now, allow your body to settle, finding the softness of your pillow, the slow rhythm of your breath. Inhale deeply, holding the breath for a quiet moment, and then release, as if letting go of the weight of the day. Again, inhale slowly, as if drawing in a cool breeze, and let it drift out, smooth and calm. Feel your shoulders lower, your jaws soften, your eyes grow heavy, like curtains closing against the world outside. And as your breath finds its steady rhythm, you begin to notice the subtle hum of memory, a door of imagination ready to open. Tonight, we journey through time and reflection to a place once towering, once alive with voices, once kissed by the New York skyline, the twin towers of the World Trade Center, not as they were lost, but as they still live within the river of memory. Their silver walls catching the light of sunrise, their vast windows reflecting the clouds, standing tall above the heartbeat of Manhattan. See them rising now, like two guardians of the sky, symmetrical, endless, with shadows stretching across the Hudson River. You find yourself walking along a quiet waterfront, the air crisp with the scent of autumn, the faint call of a gull circling above. The city hums gently in the distance, yet here there is only stillness. The towers shimmer before you, bathed in a soft golden glow, and as you draw closer, each step feels slower, dreamlike, as though the ground itself is carrying you forward. The glass facade reflects the drifting clouds, and for a moment you wonder if you are floating upward with them. A breeze brushes your cheek, cool, gentle, like a whisper of the past. And with that whisper, the doors of memory open wider. Soon you will step inside to wander the silent corridors of recollection, to gaze out over the city below, to feel the echoes of life that once filled these walls. But for now, simply stand before them. Let their presence wash over you, tall, serene, a dream frozen in light. Breathe slowly and allow yourself to drift into the first chapter of this nostalgic journey. The glass doors glide open, without sound, as though they have been waiting for you. You step inside, and the cool air greets your skin, soft, conditioned, carrying a faint echo of polished marble and brass. The lobby stretches vast, a cathedral of light and stone. Tall columns rise around you, their surfaces gleaming, catching the gentle glow of hidden lamps. The floor beneath your feet feels smooth, a mosaic of reflections, where each step seems to ripple across time itself. Around you, there is no rush of commuters, no echo of hurried footsteps, only silence. Like a museum preserved within a dream, you walk slowly forward toward a wall of elevators. The doors shimmer bronze and gold, silent guardians that once carried souls to the very crown of the towers. As you approach, one of them slides open, as if inviting you. You step inside, and the door closes gently behind. The elevator hums to life, not fast, not rushing, but drifting upward, smooth as a cloud, lifting into the sky. Numbers glow softly above the door, ascending 35, 50, 72. Each one a marker of memory, a quiet heartbeat echoing through the shaft. And then the doors part. You are met with a wash of sunlight, pouring through floor-to-ceiling windows. The observation deck stretches wide, like an open horizon. The floor is quiet beneath you, polished, as though untouched by years. You move closer to the glass, and the city reveals itself below. Manhattan sprawls, a living tapestry of rooftops and bridges, avenues winding like rivers of light. The Hudson glimmers in the distance, a ribbon of silver, while beyond it, New Jersey lies like a soft painting of earth tones. Farther still, the Statue of Liberty lifts her torch, a tiny flame of copper green, greeting the endless waters of the bay. The wind presses faintly against the glass, and for a moment you can almost hear it sing. You rest your hand against the window, and the glass feels cool, yet steady, like the pulse of the tower itself. The view draws you deeper into stillness. Every detail, the bridges, the rivers, the rooftops, becomes sharper, yet softer, as though your memory is painting them with strokes of dream. Behind you, a faint echo stirs. It is not a sound you can name, but a presence, like the distant murmur of voices long gone, frozen in time, gently circling the air. You breathe in, and the scent of polished stone lingers, mixed with something faintly metallic. A reminder of steel and sky. End as you exhale. A deep calm spreads through your chest. Here, at this height, the world below feels far away, and you are suspended between memory and cloud. The towers rise higher still, but you remain here on the deck of reflection, where time has slowed, and every heartbeat is a whisper. Soon, you will drift farther upward, beyond glass, beyond height, into the dreamscape, where memory and imagination intertwine. For now, simply breathe, and let the city below shimmer like a sea of light. The elevator calls to you once more, its bronze doors sliding open, like a passage deeper into memory. You step inside, pressing the button that glows faintly. The highest floor. With a gentle hum, you ascend again. This time, the ride feels slower, as though the air itself is thick with dream. The numbers climb, 94, 98, 102, and then stillness. The door opens, and a different silence greets you. Here, on the roof of the world, the top of the twin towers, you step into the open air. The wind greets your face, cool, crisp, a breath carried from the Atlantic Ocean. You walk toward the edge, where a wide terrace stretches, its rails like silver lines against the endless sky. New York sprawls below you, alive with lights, yet from this height it feels hushed, like a constellation fallen to earth. The Hudson River flows like molten steel, reflecting the glow of bridges. The East River glimmers, holding Brooklyn in its quiet arms, far below. Yellow taxis move like fireflies, tiny pulses of gold weaving through the streets. And above, the night sky begins to gather. Deep indigo spills across the horizon, and one by one, stars pierce the velvet dark. They flicker gently, as though whispering secrets to the towers themselves. You lean against the railing, your palms cool against the steel, and feel the vibration of the wind circling the heights. It carries the sense of the city, warm asphalt, distant food carts, a trace of river salt, all lifted here, transformed into something ethereal. You close your eyes, and the sounds expand, the murmur of water against the docks, the faint horn of a ship in the harbor, the gentle whistle of wind between the towers, like flutes in a forgotten orchestra. With eyes closed, you feel suspended between earth and sky, not bound by weight, but lifted like a feather caught in an updraft. When you open them again, you see the towers not only as buildings, but as pillars of memory, bridges between generations etched in silver light. The horizon stretches endlessly. The Atlantic seems to breathe. The stars seem closer. The city below, a dream of light and stone. For a moment, you sense something deeper, as though the towers themselves are guiding you upward, inviting you beyond architecture into the sky of imagination. And as the night deepens, the scene begins to shift. The city lights blur softly, transforming into floating lanterns. The stars above shimmer brighter, as though descending, and soon you will not only stand upon the towers, but drift into a celestial bridge, a place where memories and starlight merge. But for now, remain in this stillness. Feel the night air, the quiet majesty of height, the towers rising behind you like guardians. Breathe deeply, and let the line between city and sky grow softer, gentler, until you are ready to cross into the dream beyond. From the quiet crown of the towers, a hush gathers, like velvet settling over a stage. You stand within that hush, breathing in and out until the night begins to unfurl. First, a glimmer. A soft filament of light appears before you, no wider than a ribbon, no brighter than a candle's sigh. It lengthens, growing steady, as if spun by invisible hands that know the way from earth to sky. A bridge of light unfolds, each step a wafer of luminescence, floating just above the rooftop, curving out into the night like a slow silver crescent. You move closer. The railing is made of stars, 1,000 faint sparks, drifting in slow motion, arranged in patient lines. When you set your foot upon the first step, you feel not hardness, but a buoyant firmness, as though walking on the calm skin of a lake that has learned the language of the heavens. The city remains behind you, a constellation of windows, a stitched tapestry of light. Faint music seems to rise from below, the gentlest thread of jazz, like a memory of late-night laughter, softly held, never lost. You proceed along the luminous path, hand tracing the rail of stars. Each star hums quietly beneath your fingertips, a soothing vibration, steady as breath. The wind arrives, cool, salted, threaded with river scent. It moves through your hair with an easy, rhythmic tenderness, then carries on, heading toward the Atlantic as if to tell the ocean a secret. Below the bridge of light, the Hudson unfurls like dark silk. Tugboats become beads of amber, their wakes soft commas in the water. A ferry crosses, lanterns gliding, a small floating village bearing dreams from shore to shore. You listen, and the city hum merges with something older, a murmur that has no words, yet tells the story of arrival, of building, of reaching up. The bridge bends upward, gentle as the arc of the moon's smile. And streets, away from the measured geometry of avenues, toward a broader geometry, the calm mathematics of sky. A pause, you stop to breathe, and the step beneath you brightens, as if attuned to your ribcage, rising and falling in the near distance. Two soft gates appear, not doors, but curtains woven of night mist and sparks. They part as you approach, spilling a wash of silver dusk over your shoulders. Beyond the curtains, the bridge widens. It becomes a gallery of air, a walkway shaped by memory's wind. On either side, shimmering panels hang, not glass, not fabric, but living film, thin as breath. You pass the first panel, A reflection blossoms upon it. The towers at dawn, rising from a blue haze, the sun just catching their edges and turning steel into honey. You hear the whisper of a morning newspaper, the distant hiss of espresso, the soft click of a briefcase clasp. Light spills down the facades. A mild breeze carries the scent of roasted chestnuts from a cart. You taste it in your imagination, earthy, sweet, warm against cool air. Somewhere, elevator chimes ring like polite bells in a quiet temple. Another panel. Rain, a thin. You can almost feel the cool dampness on your cheeks, a soft blessing, settling and then vanishing. Between the panels, the night itself is an exhibit, and the stars are patient docents. They guide you without speaking, their existence a kind of pointer toward what endures. The gallery of air narrows, not to confine you, but to gather your attention. The bridge, now a slender beam, leads to a quiet landing made of starlight tiles. In the center, a round table spins slowly, though nothing touches it. Upon the table lie relics of feeling, a metro card that never expires, a folded map with softened creases, a key that opens no lock, and every lock you hold the key. It is warm to the touch, as if it has been asleep in the pocket of a long-ago coat. On its stem, tiny lines are etched, not letters, but the delicate pattern of intersecting paths. They look like city streets seen from above, or like the branching of nerves in a dreaming heart. The table continues its patient turn, and you notice a postcard. On the front, the towers, standing in bright noon, the sky a calm, endless sapphire. On the back, no stamp, no address, only a single line written in ink that glimmers faintly. You are already home. You slide the postcard into your pocket. It feels light as a promise. Past the landing, the bridge becomes and does not become a bridge. It spreads into a path of constellations, each step a cluster of stars that scatters and reassembles beneath your weightless footfall. The city remains visible, but in delicate outline. Bridges like transparent ribs, parks like soft breaths of green shadow. The towers tall, serene shine as twin pillars holding a lantern of sky between them. From this vantage, they do not end. They continue upward as reflections in the night, a vertical river flowing both ways, to the earth, to the stars. A lullaby of engines drifts up, threaded with seagull calls, mingling with the long, low sigh of harbor water. You let the sounds layer upon the quiet, like translucent pages of a book. The path delivers you to another threshold, a chamber of soft geometry, outlined by nothing you could name, yet unmistakably a room. Its walls are not walls, they are slow auroras of silver blue, moving as if waves had learned to glow. At the room's center floats a model of the skyline, a delicate sculpture of light. Buildings rise as shafts of pale gold, bridges arch as strings of pearl. The rivers are thin ribbons of mercury, and there the twin towers, taller than the rest in this miniature, hold the balance of the whole. Remove them, and the sculpture would still be beautiful. With them, it is complete, an accord of verticals, a quiet duet. You circle this floating city, fingertips close but not touching. As you move, the sculpture subtly changes, a different decade, here, another there. You glimpse the 70s, cool glow, the 80s amber sharpness, the 90s crystalline clarity. No scenes of noise, no scenes of harm, only the steady breath of days carried in light. A soft drawer slides open along the air beside you, a marvel that requires no mechanism. Inside lies a ledger of moments. You read not names but textures. Sun on steel, 8:02 a.m. You close the ledger gently, returning it to the invisible drawer, and the room seems to exhale. Beyond this chamber, a stair of moonbeams descends, not down but inward, toward the heart of the night. You follow, step by slow step, palms brushing the cool shine of the rail. At the base, you arrive at a terrace of remembrance, wide, tranquil street. They release fragrances that barely exist, a trace of citrus, a breath of pine, a suggestion of bread just out of the oven. Scents that belong not to a single place, but to the feeling of belonging. Benches of light line the terrace. You sit. The seat takes your shape, as if memory had learned comfort and wants you to rest before you. Not blueprints. They are essences, the way a melody remembers a song when the words have gone quiet. Between these two shapes, they become moments. Someone tying a scarf, someone checking a watch, someone pausing at a window with coffee steaming in their hand. No faces, no specifics, only gestures of living, the universal motions of morning, of afternoon, of evening. The stream rises and passes through the silhouettes, then disperses into the terrace air, settling like gentle snowfalls you can feel but not see. When one lands upon your sleeve, a warmth spreads through your forearm. The feeling of being part of a larger rhythm seems to lean toward the sound, as if listening. In the time that follows, which may be a minute or many, you sit in the company of these luminous shapes and the flow of ordinary miracles. A serenity gathers, one that does not forget, but holds, like cupped hands around a candle, protecting the flame from wind. When you finally stand, the terrace brightens fractionally, as though grateful for your unhurried presence. You trace the path back through the chamber of soft geometry, past the floating skyline, along the constellated steps. A door in your own home greets you with the shape of your hand. It parts at your approach, and the star-railed arc opens once more, leading you onward, toward a listening horizon where sea and sky become one breath. You pause, one palm on the rail of stars. The city behind you shines, the towers glow in their twin serenity, and the wind carries that small, tender jazz phrase you heard before, a smile turned into music. Inhaling, you gather the quiet. Exhaling, you release everything that no longer needs to be carried. Ahead, the bridge bends toward a place not on any map, an aerial library of echoes, a drift of rooms suspended over water where each room cradles a different time of day, a different season, a different mood of light. There, you will stroll among rooms of dawn and rooms of dusk, touching the textures of morning, listening to windows speak their low, glass blue language, feeling the upholstery of evening rest beneath your fingertips like a calm tide, but not yet. For now, stand one more moment between the towers and the stars, between remembrance and wonder, and feel your balance, sure as the rail beneath your hand, soft as the wind on your cheek. When you are ready, take the next step and continue across the bridge of night, letting curiosity lead, letting peace follow. As the journey turns toward the rooms of light and time waiting in the sky, the bridge's curve eases, and the night opens into a hush of rooms suspended over water. You step across the threshold, and the air grows softer, like fabric warmed by lamplight. A sign appears. Echoes. No walls, no doors, only gentle partitions of glow, each a veil of time. Like moonlight brushed by fingertips, a room settles around you, room of dawn. Its floor is pale as unspooled silk, its ceiling a light blush horizon. Somewhere unseen, a kettle murmurs, and the air tastes faintly of toast. Before you, a long window opens onto the twin towers at daybreak, steel faces tinted in rose gold, their edges drawn with the precision of a quiet vow. A low hum rises lavender, motors waking, a lobby whispering to itself. You feel the coolness of polished stone under bare imagination, and the careful brightness of the first lights being switched on. You breathe in, and the room breathes back. They are not images, they are impressions, the way a melody lingers after a single note. You cross to a small table. On it, a ledger of mornings. Pages turn themselves, showing strokes of light. Short lines written in ink that glows like dew. 6:41 handrail, cool breath, even. 6:58 steam fogs glass, then clears. You touch the edge of a page, and the page warms, accepting your presence without asking anything of you. A veil stirs, and you move into the next space room. Of rain at noon, the light is silver gray, like a calm lake's surface. The towers are draped in weather, their planes becoming instruments that sing the faint shiver of water across glass. You listen closer. The city below moves gently, muted, as if umbrellas were soft bells opening and closing in rhythm. A paper napkin on a nearby counter breathes, exhales, settles. The air smells of wet concrete and a trace of citrus from a peeled orange. You close your eyes, and the elevator chime rings once, a perfect circle of sound. When you open them, a small chair waits beside the window. You sit, and your wait becomes a conversation between you and the rain. Not a word is spoken, yet the afternoon reveals itself, unhurried, complete. Another veil beckons. You pass through room of autumn plaza. Here, the ground glows a gentle rust red, as though the stone carries the memory of leaves. A fountain lifts and falls in quiet arcs, its droplets catching light, becoming briefly jeweled, then soft again. The towers rise beyond, full of reserved brightness. Their reflections banded in the water like two calm sighs. A bronze sphere rests near the fountain, a planet in a pocket universe, its surface kissed by tiny echoes of water and wind. You run a finger near it, not touching, and feel a vibration as if the sculpture keeps time with the city's slow heartbeat. A cart appears, no one pushing it, yet it arrives with paper cups and warm lids. Steam curls up, and the scent of coffee braids itself with the sound of water. You lift a cup. It is neither hot nor cold, but exactly the temperature of welcome. You stand at the plaza's edge and look toward the Hudson. The river holds the sky like a mirror that prefers kindness. A ferry ghosts past, its lights a soft necklace, and you feel the ease with which distance becomes near when seen from a peaceful place. Another veil opens. Your steps are slow, like the second hand of a cherished clock. Room of winter window. Frost traces the glass in filigree ferns and feathers sketched by a patient, invisible hand. Beyond, the The towers appear more crystalline, sure and luminous, their edges the color of pale pewter. A hush lies over everything, not empty, but full of breath held gently. You draw closer to the window, blowing a thin wreath of warmth that opens a small circle through the frost. Through it, you see a tiny scene from long ago or just now, someone adjusting a scarf, the wool catching light, someone tapping a glove against their palm. The rhythm, a private song. A fur-lined collar hangs on a nearby hook, a coat that belongs to no one and welcomes anyone. You slip it over your shoulders. It carries a whisper of cedar and the memory of first snow on a quiet street. Your shoulders lower, your breath evens, and the world feels held. The next veil is night blue. You pass through its softness as if stepping into a lullaby room of midnight reflections. Here, the towers are silver pillars set in a bowl of stars. The rivers are two long mirrors, and bridges become silver strings on a great celestial instrument. The city is not asleep, but it speaks quietly, respecting the late hour. A turntable spins in the corner, needle resting lightly on silence. When you approach, the record begins to play without being touched. A low, velvet jazz line unfurls like a ribbon in the dark. It is the same phrase you heard on the bridge, but now it has grown a second voice, a gentle piano echoing the melody. Like footsteps attentive to yours, you sit on a cushioned ledge facing the window. The glass is cool beneath your palm, and you feel the city's pulse through the stillness. From being carried, a folded paper star made from an old ticket stub, a matchbook with no matches, its cover embossed with two parallel lines that catch the smallest light. You lift the paper star. It weighs almost nothing, yet it steadies the room as if balance were a tangible thing. You step onward, and the library reshapes rooms, blooming and closing like sea anemones, each offering a different texture of time. Room of summer wind, windows open high above the harbor, the air moving with salt and sun, shirt sleeves loose, a cool drink, beating glass with pearls. Room of paper and ink maps fanned across a table, a pencil leaving the faintest trail, names of streets whispering as if the city were teaching you its secret alphabet. Room of lantern, evenings, light pooling beneath benches, shadows stretching long and leisurely, the towers framed like tall candles set to bless a long, peaceful supper. Each room releases you without the ache of leaving, because each gives something that remains, a scent, a color, a sound shaped like a smile. You return toward the library's heart, where an open rotunda floats above a soft curl of mist. The rotunda holds a compass of remembering, a round dial that turns at the speed of trust. Instead of north, south, east, west, its directions read: dawn, rain, plaza, window, midnight. To place your palm at the center, the dial warms, and the directions brighten in sequence, like breathing. When they settle, a faint line appears, drawn between plaza and midnight. You lean over and hear small moments rise, one by one, like bubbles that choose to speak. The click of a pen, the nudge of a door, the flutter of a memo pinned neatly, the swish of a coat sleeve, the echo of a single word traded at a threshold. After you smile. The simplest syllables hold entire rooms of tenderness. When you stand again, the library opens a final set of veils, arranged like a gentle colonnade, and at the end, light, not dazzling, not distant, just right. Pass through, and arrive on a balcony of quiet height, a terrace floating somewhere between sea and star. Below, Manhattan sighs in silver, bridges daisy-chained across water, demand attention, they grant it. Been saving your shape for a long time. Above, a constellation tilts just enough to suggest a doorway. The breeze gathers a new note, briny and bright, and you sense a drift. Eastward, toward water, toward a channel that knows both city and sea. The bridge of light still extends behind you, a graceful arc returning toward the rooftop, toward elevators and lobbies, toward dawns that never hurry. But before you, a tender glow spills like a path on water. You breathe in, slow and full. You breathe out, long and easy. The library, the rooms, the veils, they fold themselves softly, like pages closing around a ribbon, keeping your place. When you rise, the balcony eases forward. A starlit waterway invites you, a slow river, the color of quiet thought. It will carry you past buoys of memory, past docks where echoes rest, past the gentle shadow of an island where a torch lifts its small, steady flame. You place your hands on the rail, and the deck begins to glide, almost imperceptibly, smooth as breath. Behind you, the tower's reflections lengthen on the water. Two gleaming paths returning toward the sky. You do not turn away from them. You bring them with you, the way a favorite line of music travels inside the listener. The harbor opens, and the night unfolds more stars, as if approving your passage. The wind touches your face, brisk, salted, honest. Now, let the glide continue. Let curiosity set the pace. Let calm be the current, as the dream carries you from the rooms of light and time into the harbor of gentle echoes that waits just beyond the next curve of night. Quiet as a breath drawn in, steady as a breath let go beneath you. Water folds and unfolds, a slow quilt of light, ripples catching starlight, releasing it, receiving it again. You keep one hand upon the rail, its coolness a calm reminder that you are carried, held, guided by a current that knows the way. From somewhere ahead, a bell speaks once, soft, round, a silver note that lingers like a drop that refuses to fall. The shoreline unfurls in dark shapes and warm glows. Docks and piers and old timbers wearing the perfume of salt and tar. Ropes sleep in coils, fat and content. A gull settles upon a piling, folds its wings, and closes its bright coin of an eye dot to port. The Brooklyn Bridge floats like a harp strung with moonlight. Its cables curve grace upon grace, and a few late travelers move across, each footsteps a tiny hush heard only by the river. Beyond it, the Manhattan Bridge hums in a lower register, steady and sure, a quiet accompaniment to the city's NOCTURNE dot to starboard. The bay opens, broad, polished, receiving. You sense the ocean's long exhalation moving in from far away, as if the Atlantic were whispering encouragement to the night. The deck is not wood or steel, not anything you could name. It is a surface shaped by trust, by the feeling of being taken forward. Underfoot, a slow vibration, pearls, not engines, not machinery, more like the resonance of a low, contented voice, the harbor speaking in its sleep. You draw your coat closer, its lining remembers warmth. A thin mist rises from the water, touching your cheeks like two small blessings. The mist carries scents, rope, seaweed. the ghost of fresh bread from a late-night bakery, a little lemon from an unseen kitchen, and somewhere, faintly, cinnamon. Behind you, the twin towers hold their dignified glow, not demanding a look, and yet, whenever you turn your head, they are there to vertical lanterns, the space between them a quiet pause that makes the music whole. Their reflections stretch and fold upon the water, two silver paths returning into themselves. Ahead, small buoys lift and fall, each crowned with a patient light. As you pass, they give out a kind of greeting, not a clang, not a ring, but a hum measured to the size of the night. You imagine each buoy as a keeper of moments, holding brief syllables that the day did not have time to keep. You lean toward the nearest, and a handful of syllables rise the tap of a mug set down without hurry, the hush of a page turned, the soft shoelace whisper of a child's step, the fabric sigh of a sleeve pulled straight, the unvoiced smile. When two eyes meet at an elevator door, you nod, and the buoy nods back, content to keep the rest. The deck eases toward a floating dock of glass, so clear you can see starlight pass through it. A small pavilion waits there, nothing more than a roof and a bench and a lamp that glows like tea. You step ashore. When you sit beneath it, pictures arrive softly, without insistence. Hands warming around a paper cup, a scarf loosened after a brisk walk, a collar turned up against a kind wind, a pen capped with a little click, a glance out a window that forgives the day its speed. On the bench, someone has left a tide book, small, cloth-bound edges, softened by touch. You open it, and the pages are a script of glittering ink, so faint you read it more with the skin than with the eyes. The entries are times and tiny notes, not of ships, but of the harbor's feelings. High tide. 2:14 Silkwater. Listening gulls. Slack tide. 6:02 Breath held. Lanterns, unafraid. EB 9:37 Oak piling dreams. Tar warms. You run your finger along a line, and the dock seems to rise and fall in time with the words. You do not question how. Some places simply know how to meet you halfway. A low horn drifts across the bay, a ferry moving like a long, patient lantern. It glides near, and you see its windows bead with mist that never decides whether to stay. Inside, silhouettes sit and lean, heads resting, hands folded. You can almost hear the whisper of tickets, the soft clink of a coin dropped in a pocket, the tender, tired laughter that belongs to arrivals and returns. The ferry passes. You turn, and the Statue of Liberty lifts her steady flame. At this hour, she looks less like a monument and more like a person, watching over those who drift, those who wonder, those who remember. Her torch is not bright, but it is exact. A promise spoken low so it will not be mistaken. Between the pavilion and the statue, a channel of glimmer opens. It is fully water and fully light, a path you do not need to choose because you are already on it. The deck returns to you as a gentle invitation. You stand, you walk. The dock's glass kisses your soles with a hush like first snow. Back at the rail, the night grows deeper, not darker, deeper, like a well that knows how to keep a star safe. The wind, too, finds its softest voice, a letter written by sea to city. Ellis Island, quiet as a library after the lights are dimmed, keeping safe the pages that once carried names across an ocean. You bow your head in their direction, not in ceremony, but in kinship with everything that has ever arrived. The current gathers you toward a boathouse of air, resting beneath an unseen archway, perhaps a bridge, perhaps a moongate made of breeze. Its doors are open, and inside, lanterns hang like low moons, each with a different tint of memory: sea glass, green, amber, tea. Light the color of the inside of a seashell dot. The boathouse floor is a map. But this map does not show streets. It shows routes of feeling. Thin lines, hand-drawn, loop from tower to riverbank, from lobby to elevator, from window to sky, from plaza to the small, personal places where someone may have sat to tie a shoe, or to think of the phone call to make before heading home. You kneel, and the lines glow brighter, responding to your attention. You trace one path from a tall pane of glass at afternoon to a bench by the fountain at evening, to a pier that smells of rope and calm. As your finger travels, you hear a chorus of tiny sounds: CHR, a pen, unstaking; SHFFA, sleeve smoothed; BLMM, a coffee lid settling into place. It is the music of ordinary grace, and the boathouse hums along. On a small table, an oiler's can sits brass, dulled to the color of gentle dusk. You lift it, and without effort, you find the hinge that needs tending, a creak in the air, a place where the night folds tighter than it wishes. A single drop falls clear, warm, and the hinge breathes easier. It is not fixing, it is care, a kindness offered to the mechanism of evening. You feel the tower's presence at your back. Not heavy, never heavy, only steady. Two tall reassurances, their outline pressed in the soft paper of the sky. You do not need to turn to know they shine. Their light arrives across the water, across the boathouse floor, and rests upon the map exactly where your hand is. A ledger shell lies by the table, a conch with pages hidden in its spiral. You place it to your ear, expecting the sea. Instead, you hear the murmur of marble, the aerated hush of air passing through vents, the faintest fragment of a joke told and received with a smile that never needed to be loud. You turn the shells, tiny pages, and one line reveals itself, inked in a script that remembers rain. Not everything beloved needs to be seen to be here. You return the shell. The boathouse brightens, as if in approval. Outside again, the current invites you onward. The waterway broadens, and ahead, the Verisanonorous draws a pale arc. Moon pale, sea pale, a gateway with no requirement but gentleness. You need not pass beneath. Knowing it is there is enough. The harbor is a room without walls, and you are welcome in every corner. The deck eases into a slow circle, and your view returns to the lower tip of Manhattan. Parks sleep by the river. Benches keep their shapes for morning. A single jogger moves through the dark, footfalls like the tick of a clock that refuses to hurry. High above, office windows keep company with the moon's reflected patience. You realize that your breath has become the harbor's metronome, in, out, and the ride matches you in small, loving adjustments. The night has learned your measure, and you have learned its. A final bell tones deeper now, familiar. You look astern, and the towers answer with light. Not brighter, not dimmer, just the exact light needed to be recognized across water. Between them, the corridor of sky feels like the pause before saying a word you are certain to mean. The deck draws near a quiet landing, tucked behind a veiled curtain of mist. You step ashore into a harbor room, stone underfoot, lamps shaded with linen, a long window opening back toward the city. On a sideboard, a metal tray holds small objects, a washer from an old bolt, a round transit token, a glass button, a ferrule from a pencil shining like a drop of dawn. You run your fingertips above them, and you feel a particular softness in the air, the way a place says, "Leave what you carried, take what you can hold without hands." At the window, you watch the river's slow page turn. The towers are there, as they always are in this telling, rooted in the fabric of the dream, outlines edged in patience. Their reflections lengthen, narrow, lengthen again, and each change feels like a heartbeat that chooses to be peaceful. You close your eyes for one long breath, and the harbor gathers itself around you like a shawl someone placed upon your shoulders before you even knew you were cold. When you open them, a small door of wind has opened at the far end of the room. Through it, you glimpse the faint suggestion of old streets, cobbled and lantern-lit, where memory keeps its shop windows polished and kind. You understand without words, the journey will carry you from water to stone, from the harbor's slow hymn to the lantern ways of downtown night. There, corners remember quiet conversations, and stair rails keep the warmth of hands that once moved unhurriedly upward. You place your palm upon the rail again, cool, steady, and incline your head toward the city and the sea. Both return, the bow, each in its own language. When you step toward the door of wind, the harbor room dims itself with gratitude. The buoys hum once, the gull opens and closes its coin of an eye. The ferry in the distance offers a single, low syllable of farewell, not an ending, a continuation. Carry the calm of water with you. Carry the lantern of the tower's light in the pocket where your keys used to be, and allow the night to lead you toward streets that remember. The door widens, and a lane of cobbles receives your step gently, like an old friend untying a story it has kept just for this hour. Breathe in salt and stone. Breathe out space and ease. The city waits, lamplit, patient, ready to share its quieter pages. The door of wind widens, and you step from harbor hush onto stone that has learned the language of shoes and seasons. Cobblestones receive you, rounded with many years, each one a small moon set into the earth. The air here tastes of salt and iron, of leaves pressed flat by rain, of old lacquer on old doors. Lantern light collects in the seams of the street, pools at corners, and lifts again as if the night were breathing. Through chimneys, you walk without hurry. Your feet find a rhythm, soft heel, softer toe, and the city answers, echoing your steps along low brick walls that remember the touch of morning hands. A narrow lane leads you toward Battery Park, where trees lean in patient silhouettes, their branches sketching quiet questions against the sky. On a bench, a folded newspaper rests like a sleeping bird. You pass, and a page loosens, flares, then settles, as if agreeing with your arrival. The harbor speaks from beyond the trees, a hush more than a sound, and the granite paths hold a chill that keeps wakefulness gentle. A distant buoy hums once, and the note finds its way between trunks and lampposts, threading the night like a silver seam northward. The streets draw you back among buildings, some new, some older than any picture you were shown. Window panes hold a small warmth, curtains sigh, and somewhere a stairwell light clicks on, then off, like a blink dot at Bowling Green. The railings curl into shapes that blacksmiths learned from vines, iron remembering the softness of leaves. A coin glints in the fountain's shallow bowl, its face turned neither up nor down, only sideways, content to be a circle underwater. You touch the railing cold, clear, honest, and feel your breath smooth itself. As if the metal corrected the night's minor errors, the wind gathers, not to hurry you, but to guide your caller. Across the street, a revolving door turns slowly, door of brass, door of time. No one enters, no one leaves, and yet the circle moves, keeping the world's cadence, even at this hour when the city speaks in cursive. You follow Broadway upward, where stone facades remember how to hold shadows like velvet. A flag folds and unfolds itself in a window where no one is watching. At the corner, a small newsstand sleeps behind a grate. A postcard towers, etched in silver, tilts against the glass. You pause, and your reflection blends with their outline, your shoulders filling the space between two patient lines of light. The image feels right in your chest, not as possession, as company. A side street offers granite steps, 5 of them, sanded smooth by many evenings. You sit, and the stone gives back the warmth it saved from a long-ago afternoon. A brass handrail curves beside you, idle moonlight pooling in the curve. When you lay your fingers there, they meet coolness first, then a memory of hands firm, polite, moving upward without rush. You listen. The city's voice is a woven thing, the bead click of a traffic light cycling to no one, the soft tap of loose halyards against a mast far toward the piers, the whisper of a map being folded inside, a pocket you cannot see. Between those strands, you hear it again, that velvet jazz phrase, a ribbon of notes threading itself through alleys and up stairwells, as if the night tuned a radio to the station of your breath. When you rise, you find Trinity's spire leaning into the sky, dark needle, quiet compass. Its yard keeps watch over names that the city pronounces with respect, even when it says nothing. The wrought iron fence is a field of black lilies. You walk along it, palming the tops of its cool petals, and the fence hums the softest possible chord, felt more than heard. Like the seam where sleeve meets wrist. At Wall Street, stone becomes river. The canyon of buildings channels wind with the grace of a long memory, and your coat learns new folds, a language of corners and calm. Windows layer upon windows, old glass stacked above new, and somewhere a cleaning light traces a square of gold across a carpet the color of low tide. The steps of Federal Hall receive you with quiet ceremony. You climb, one and one and one, finding your breath on each landing. At the top, the columns stand as tall sentences paused mid-thought. You draw your hand along the fluted stone. Dust becomes a galaxy on your fingertips, cleansed by the next wind. Across the way, a page turns in the ledger of night. You cannot see the book, only feel the chapter change, a small drop in the air's key, a sweeter grain to the silence. You sit on the topmost step, and the city answers by lowering its voice just enough to be intimate. Behind you, 2 faint rectangles of glow gather on the sky, not the towers themselves, but their echoes in light. They appear whenever your attention asks gently, whenever your shoulders remember to settle back and down. Between those two calm fields, a darker blue holds a shape like possibility. You breathe into that shape, and the breath returns as a steadier version of you, deeper into the streets. A cobbled alley waits narrow, swept, the smell of a bakery drifting from a grate. You follow, and the alley reveals 3 doors in sequence, one painted green, one blue, one left to the grain of wood. Each has a brass knob rubbed bright where palms have signed their names in oil. You touch each in turn, and each returns a different note: mint, sea, cinnamon, as if the doors were instruments that preferred to be greeted rather than opened. Halfway down the alley, a postbox stands. Its mouth is closed, but a small drawer waits below, meant for letters that never needed stamps. You slide it open. Inside, slips of paper the size of breathing. On each, a sentence written for no one and everyone. I saw the sun on steel and thought of breakfast. The window taught me how to be still. 2 lines standing together taught me courage, shaped like quiet. You choose no slip. You read them with your fingertips, then close the drawer, leaving the words to keep their echo beyond the alley. A plaza opens, a small square with a clock that has forgotten to move. Its hands rest at 10:10, smile of time edged in nickel light. The clock is not wrong. It is simply posing for a portrait. You listen for what the hour would say if it could whisper. It says, "Be where you stand." You obey. Standing still, you feel the whole square move around you. Wind negotiating flags, a bicycle's chain negotiating a gear, an elevator somewhere taking one floor and giving another. Your stillness becomes the hinge on which quiet turns. A light snow of leaves begins, not winter, only a tree deciding to release what it no longer needs to carry. A single leaf catches in the fold of your sleeve, then releases, sailing on to find a story of its own. You cross toward Stone Street, cobbles shining like small planets. Tables sleep under umbrellas. Stools are stacked in tidy towers, a gentle joke the night tells itself. From a kitchen vent, you catch rosemary, then garlic nudging olive oil, then a last kiss of heat leaving a pan. Your stomach smiles, and the street smiles back with a creak of awning. Overhead, the canyons part just enough to let a stripe of sky through. In that stripe, 2 parallel glows find one another again, quiet as a handhold. You let your eyes rest there the way you'd rest them on a horizon at sea. And a calm arrives that is larger than your name. A night watchman rounds a corner, hat brim a small crescent. He nods, you nod, and the exchange is perfect. Not too much, not too little, to guardians acknowledging the other's careful attention. After he passes, you hear the friendly weight of his keys, a soft starfall at his side, at the mouth of another lane. A delivery bicycle leans basket lined with yesterday's paper, a bell that needs no ringing to be understood. You brush your thumb against the bell's lip. It replies with a memory of sound, then holds its tongue, courteous as a library.
Farther on, a glass lobby lifts from the sidewalk like a lantern with 1,000 panes. Inside, marble learns to be moonlight, and potted trees practice the art of waking slowly. You pause just outside the doors, and the revolving circle catches. Your reflection again, slicing it into calm 8th notes that reassemble as you breathe. The security desk is unpeopled, yet you feel watched over, not by cameras, but by the good manners of a space built for arrivals. At your feet, a brass strip set into the floor reads welcome in letters that choose polish over shine. You bow your head, a private reply. From here, you can see the faint silhouette of the tower's remembered light reflected in the glass, drawn not from themselves, but from your attention, from the part of you that keeps a room ready for what it loves. Their twin calm aligns your shoulders, lengthens your spine, and your breath takes one more step toward the tempo of the night. You turn back onto the street. A manhole cover exhales, warmth, laundry, soap, fresh steam passed through iron. The grate beside it sings, a thin metallic melody played by the wind's patient fingers. You answer by slowing your pace half a measure more, letting your footsteps become rests between notes. The map of Lower Manhattan moves beneath you like a slow river, and you step from stone to stone as if crossing at low tide. At the corner of Pearl and Quiet, a shop window displays two silhouettes of suit jackets facing one another in polite conversation. Their reflections bow each time a car passes, then stand at ease again, so dignified it makes you smile. A pamphlet rack in a vestibule holds the last copies of a brochure that once offered tours. You take none, but your hand smooths the topmost sheet, blending the rumor of a crease into a soft plane. That small act calms the vestibule, and your palm gathers a small warmth to keep. A brass plaque on a wall tells a brief history in careful capitals. You read the first line, then stop, choosing to let the rest remain folded like a letter you'll open in another dream. What you know is enough. Streets remember. Stone keeps confidences. Light, when offered, does not ask for anything in return. When you come again to a wider way, the night has turned one more quiet page. A chill clarifies the air, and the rhythm of distant tires on wet pavement becomes a lull that invites your next breath to lengthen. The city seems to lean closer, to show you something it offers only to those who walk. Without demand, it shows you a window, one window among many, where a single desk lamp burns like a cup of tea. No figure sits there, yet the chair holds the shape of kindness, and a pen rests above a blank, willing to wait forever. You lift your eyes from the lamp to the night behind it, and there, reflected in the pane, the twin stripes of light find you again, aligned with the lamp's slender stem, making a trinity of quiet. You keep that alignment as you move, not by watching it, but by letting it watch over you. The streets braid and unbraid. A taxi makes a gold seam down a nearby avenue. A bus exhales with a calm that forgives hurry. In each small change, you stay inside a larger stillness. The stillness you first learned beneath the tower's patient heights. At last, a pocket square of park returns, a triangle no wider than a generous breath, with one bench, one tree, one lamp. You sit, and the bench takes your measure, then gives it back as comfort. The tree, nearly bare, scratches 3 lines on the notebook of the sky. The lamp accepts a moth's discussion, settling the debate with gentleness. Here, you let your eyes close, not to leave the city, but to hear it more clearly. And from that listening, a doorway forms, not of brick or glass, but of memory arranged in the shape of welcome. It opens toward windows high above the streets, toward elevators breathing behind golden doors, toward lobbies that keep a cool, lucid morning even at midnight. You rise, carrying the lantern that is not in your hand, and let your steps find the way back toward height, not to escape the ground, but to see it more tenderly. The night watchman has crossed his orbit. The river has turned a page. The bridges keep their strings tuned. All is ready for the next ascent, through doors that open softly, into light that loves glass, toward a vantage where stone and water and sky are a single, generous breath. Carry the hush of these streets with you, and allow it to shape the silence within, a silence that does not erase, that does not insist, a silence that listens, steady as two lines standing kind in the night. From the pocket square of park, your steps remember height, streets braid, back toward brightness, and a lobby rises ahead, glass like a lantern, marble like quiet water. The revolving door turns once for you, polite, measured, as if the night itself were offering its hand. Inside, cool air combs your breath smooth. Brass lines the edges of things trim, rail. Elevator seems a low constellation designed for arrivals. You cross the floor, and the sound of your steps dissolves into the stone, becoming part of its long, calm memory. The elevator doors glide, open bronze brushed to the color of late honey. You enter. The button to the east-facing level waits with a patient glow. A soft chime. The car rises, unhurried, confident, as if the building were breathing you upward. Numbers appear, 48, 63, 81. And each number feels like a lantern lit in a hallway. You already know. You watch your reflection in the polished panel, not to examine, only to witness your shoulders lower, your jaw unfasten, your eyes learn the stillness of early light. Another chime, a drift of quiet air. The doors part. A corridor welcomes you, carpet the color of first tea, walls carrying the scent of linen and paper. At the end, a door already open, spilling a pale wash that belongs to East. You step through. The room of mourning receives you like a letter. Its window runs wide, floor to ceiling, turned wholly toward the horizon. Before the sun appears, the sky unfolds its prelude, blue thinning to pearl, pearl warming toward apricot, a seam of silver laid where water begins. Below, the East River lies like brushed metal. Bridges 3, then more, thread themselves. From Manhattan to Brooklyn and back again, necklaces clasped to a quiet throat. Warehouses keep their solid hush, roofs holding the last of night's cool. Ferries wait in their slips like horses lined at a dawn gate. Within the glass, a faint mist bows and retreats. Bows again, clears a curtain, rehearsing. You lay your palm against the window. It is cool, then less cool, then companionably neutral, as if meeting you halfway. Behind your shoulder, a sideboard offers small comforts. A porcelain cup, a shallow pot of tea breathing steam into the air, a dish of thin lemon slices floating like small suns. You pour, and the liquid behaves like light made drinkable. The first sip finds your chest, warms it with a kindness that asks nothing in return. A slender desk waits by the window. On it, a notebook thick with woven paper, a pencil sharpened to a gentle peak. You open to a blank page. The paper accepts your fingertips as if recognizing a friend. At the top, an embossed title reveals itself only when the glass brightens, dawns. Observed, you set the pencil down, just so. No words are needed. The page is already writing, itself in colors. Sit, breathe. Let the horizon do the speaking. The light gathers. An invisible edge moves across the river, polishing water with a steady hand. The first low bar of the sun lifts a nickel coin, warmed in a palm, and the bridges awaken. Cables becoming harpstrings, lightly plucked by day. On the opposite, pane of glass, A reflected tower appears, not solid, but clean as a vow. Its planes take the newborn light and return it as something softer, something you can tuck inside your coat. Two rectangles of brightness stand not on the ground but in your field of vision, twin lanterns steadied by breath. The room learns the new color quickly. Carpet deepens, wood warms, steel sighs in satisfaction. Somewhere along the corridor, a vent releases air that smells of cotton, paper, and a hint of orange peel. It's the fragrance of the hour, when plans are still friendly, when lists have yet to harden. You raise the cup again, steam touches your cheek. 1, 2, 3 soft notes, then dissolves into morning. Outside sparrows ring the building. You can't see them, but their brief opinions stitch the air together like fine thread. A ferry moves northward, leaving a wake shaped like a thought you meant to remember. It will return if it's needed. Let your eyes close for a count of 5. Listen for the elevator's distant bell, not as a summons, as punctuation. There it is, one pure circle of tone, entering, leaving, like your breath. Open your eyes. The sun clears the lip of the water. A ladder of light begins to climb the opposite tower's face, rung by rung, gold, thin as leaf. Each rung holds for a breath, then lifts higher, a slow metronome set to the tempo of patience. You feel its ascent. Inside you, along the spine, as if vertebrae were windows learning to glow.
Shadows retreat in courteous order. A long table in a distant office loses its night length and discovers its day shape. On some unoccupied chair, the fabric deepens one shade toward amber. None of it makes a sound. The city is practicing its quiet scales before the louder music begins. The notebook on the desk accepts a single line you do not write, yet it appears. Sun on glass, breath on glass, the same river to the same sea. The pencil stays where you placed it, a small obelisk honoring stillness. A clock in the room does not tick, a minute hand drifts. You watch it for a while and realize you've misremembered how long a minute can be when it's allowed to be itself. Now stand. Approach the window again. On the river, a barge pushes water into paragraphs. Between those paragraphs, sleek patches of sheen hold the color of day's first promise. Somewhere beyond Brooklyn, smokestacks write a pale handwriting, too soft to read. It says only, continue. You rest your forehead lightly to the glass, and the glass cools your thinking into a single, friendly lane. In that lane, memories stroll, not in order, not competing, just passing by to nod hello. A lobbies echo in midsummer. A coat placed on a chair back in late October. A napkin folded into an idea. A sigh released at a window when the light did that exact thing. Yes, the one it is doing now. Across the way, the twin rectangle brightens again. A plane of steel switches from pewter to coin to candle. For a breath, the two towers, one before you, one reflected, create a corridor of gold down which your attention walks as if it had been walking there all your life. You lower your gaze. On the sill, someone long ago left a small paperweight, glass clear as lake ice, bubbled with 3 captured breaths. You place your finger to it. The glass holds your print for a second, then erases it kindly. The captured breaths remain untroubled. A linen shade lifts itself a single inch, as if to acknowledge the sun directly. Dust turns to glitter, then to nothing. A hinge considers squeaking, decides against it. Even the building's bones seem to smile a dry It drifts across the rim of the cup, slips under the door, and takes the elevator down for a moment, perhaps to greet the marble, then returns. A courteous guest. Breathe as the sun climbs another rung. Inhale, the room widens. Exhale, the room deepens. With each breath, morning enters the architecture, one small kindness at a time. You could stay here, and perhaps you will, for several long pages of the day. But there is more to visit, a gallery of corridors that lead toward a room with north-facing windows where the city gathers its grays into pearls, and another with south-facing panes that know the language of open water. There is a corner where two light wells meet and converse in whispers. There is the quiet service hall that smells of clean cotton and a screwdriver, and knows stories it will never tell loudly. For now, mark the moment, not with ink, with attention. Let your eyes place a soft bracket around the sun's edge on the river, around the ladder on the steel, around the cup that is still warm. That bracket will travel with you, a pocket frame you can hold up to any hour you turn once to the doorway. The corridor waits, carpet steady, air considerate. At your back, the room keeps glowing, as if lit by your leaving. Places sometimes do that. Bless a traveler by remaining beautiful after the traveler has gone. In the elevator again, it hums a note of approval. The car draws a single breath and moves, not down, not up, but through to another floor, where another window offers another angle on the same kindness. Doors open to a northward view, broad, measured, avenues stretching toward Midtown, the river narrowing into a silver quill. You step out only far enough to promise a return, then step back, allowing the journey to keep its eastward thread. Once more, the elevator glides. Once more, a bell the size of a pearl speaks its single syllable. You ride it like a raft, still, attentive, ready for the next room and the next breath of day. When the doors open this time, a stairwell of light offers 12 shallow risers, each riser washed in sun. You climb them, footfalls folded into a hush so complete it feels like praise at the top. A small outlook awaits, just a rail, a pane, and the airy sense that you've arrived where morning keeps its most generous view. The harbor lies southeast, a new coin spilled on blue cloth. Ferries draw threads in and out, like seamstresses of distance. Beyond, the open water breathes a slow bellows, pulling light forward, pressing it gently inward, behind and slightly below. You catch the other tower again, its upper floors receiving day as a gift they know how to unwrap. For a moment, the two tops seem to lean ever so slightly toward one another, like friends sharing a story too soft for anyone else to hear told the rail. Let that image settle into the place where your heartbeat keeps its photos. And now, let the story lead you forward, from morning's first chamber to the quiet rooms of midday, to the halls where paper and glass compose a meticulous duet, to a roof terrace of wind and sky where birds rehearse small arcs above your shoulder, but not all at once. We will arrive as morning arrives, measured, grateful, with pauses at every threshold. For now, let the east keep shining. Let the cup hold its last warmth. Let the city below turn the light like a jewel to see each facet clearly. When you're ready, we'll walk again through corridors that keep our footsteps safe, toward windows that teach our eyes to rest, into noon that knows how to be gentle, even when it is bright. Breathe. Carry the ladder of gold with you. Carry the river's nickel sheen. Carry the twin lanterns, now lit for the day. The elevator bell appears like a smile. Doors glide. You step in, bringing morning with you. And the car begins its soft translation to the next chapter of light. The elevator carries morning with you, translating its soft gold into noon's quieter brightness. A bell, one round syllable, and the doors breathe open. Before you stretches a corridor of midday. Its carpet the color of pale wheat, its walls gently luminous, as if the paint remembers sunlight and offers it back without glare. You walk, and the hush here is industrious, not busy. Just composed, a library's calm transposed to height. On the left, a window to the north frames avenues like polished lines. Traffic draws slow calligraphy on the streets, yellow strokes threading white, the rivers narrowing to threads of silver quill. In the distance, a sliver of the park breathes green like a hidden metronome on the right. A window to the south opens to water, bay bright with noon, ferries making neat stitches between shores, the horizon steady as a promise. Between the two views, the corridor holds its center, balanced, pliable. A tuning fork at ease. You press your palm to the wall's wooden rail. It is warm, with a memory of hands, yet cool enough to teach your skin to rest. The rail hums faintly. No sound, only agreement, as if to say, yes, this pace. A side hall branches off, quiet as a breath taken in. The air changes linen, paper, a tender note of citrus polish. Here, glass and ink compose a duet. You enter a paper room. Tables in light would hold maps, brochures, thin volumes bound in cloth. None are labeled loudly. They trust you to understand. They're calm. By the tall window, a wide desk is set with tracing paper, a straight edge, a pencil burnished by many gentle grips. You stand at the desk, and the view becomes a template, bridges sketched in light, buildings rising in measured chords. When you lay the straight edge down, its metal kisses the paper with a whisper like tide on a pearl shore. You do not draw. The drawing happens anyway. A line appears in your breathing, achieving a clean edge between inside and out. On a shelf, a folio rests, its cover soft as an old coat. Inside are sleeves of translucent sheets, each containing a single gesture, a rectangle of pale gold for a window at 1142, a short graphite arc for a hand on a rail. Two parallel lines for towers that speak without speaking. You flip one sheet and the next aligns, gesture over gesture, building a quiet architecture of layers. This is how Midday makes memory, not with declarations, but with overlays of small truths that agree to fit. Beyond the paper room, a glass gallery continues the song. Here panes bend slightly, softening the city into tender geometry. You touch a curved section, and it presses back, not with force, with presence. The reflection that returns is you, but more at peace, your edges easy, your shoulders echoing the vertical calm of two remembered lanterns. A door, painted the color of early wheat, opens into a service corridor. Floors are clean, corners honest, and the air smells of cotton and a screwdriver, like a toolbox, politely closed. A cart rests by a closet, its towels stacked in white horizons. You trail a fingertip along the top towel. The cotton carries the kindness of 1,000 quiet hands, each fold a small act of care. A utility niche stands open, coils of hose asleep, labels written in tidy letters, a cabinet of bulbs that promise soft light. You lift the latch, and it answers with the smallest click. Content, well-tended. Serenity is a hinge that never needs to announce itself. At the corridor's end, a stairwell of sun rises. Each riser holds a shallow lake of brightness, and your steps ripple it without disturbing its clarity. The banister is brushed steel. When your palm closes upon it, you feel a current of cool, then a balanced warmth, as if the stair has remembered every ascent and blesses yours in return. The door at the top yields to a patio of air, a roof terrace, sheltered but open, planters set like punctuation at the edge of sky. Grasses sway in miniature fields, their seed heads describing ellipses to the wind's careful grammar. 2 benches face the south, and between them a low table waits, its surface a leaf of stone that keeps the sun without glare. The view opens wide. Harbor noon in full voice, a melody of white wakes, skies burnished to pearl. To the left, the river shoulders past the island. To the right, bridges lace the burrows with silver sentence structure. You sit, the bench holds your outline as if it had been practicing for you. Over the parapet, swallows practice their tiny arcs, sketching commas in the air, stitching together, gust and lull. From a corner speaker you cannot see, the gentlest jazz phrase curls out, a thread of saxophone, a brush on a drum, a piano that knows how to wait. It's the same ribbon you've met before, now squarely at midday, warmed, unhurried. Content to loop without arriving. On the low table rests a tray, a carafe of water, taking the shape of light. Thin slices of cucumber afloat like jade moons. 3 white cups that invite without insisting. You pour. The drink is cool in your hand, then cooler in your mouth, as if it traded its temperature for your ease. Past the parapet there, across a short breadth of air, another roof edge mirrors this one. For a delicate instant, 2 straight lines of architecture seem to lean inward, not touching, yet joined by the bridge your attention provides. They are not buildings now, they are kindness placed in height. You breathe, and that kindness steadies its height inside you. At the terrace corner, a weather station turns, small arms measuring breeze. Numbers appear on a tiny face, then fade, as if the device shares its knowledge but keeps its serenity. A sparrow lands upon it briefly, declares the reading acceptable, and departs. You stand and move to the east rail. Noon's light leans forward, becoming afternoon. Shadows shorten, then begin their slow lengthening, cordial as guests who know exactly when to linger. On a distant rooftop, a worker in a blue jacket adjusts a coil of rope. The rope obliges, settling into a curve that pleases the eye. You do not wave. The moment waves for both of you. A gentle door opens to a conservatory glass overhead. Tiles underfoot, the color of cooled sand. In tall planters, small trees keep indoor breezes, leaves speaking the soft dialect of height. A book rests on a stand, its pages thick as orange peel. The title, impressed without ink, Noon, kept kindly. You turn a page. There are no sentences, only fields of shade punctuated by little doorways of light. You understand. This is writing for the body, for the shoulder that lowers, for the throat that remembers how to be a clear channel for breath. Further along, a north terrace receives you. Here, the air is a degree cooler, stones at your feet, the color of pewter. The view stretches toward uptown, a measured procession of rooftops, water towers like wooden crowns, avenues aligning into a calm perspective. The city's midsection glows not in gold but in pearl, a palette of grays that celebrate restraint. You rest both hands on the rail and feel the music of steadiness, trucks humming low, buses exhaling in even phrases, a bicycle's small chain remarking on rhythm. A maintenance ladder rises near the corner, painted in a yellow that believes in optimism. You touch the lowest rung, and it returns a memory of someone's glove, work done safely, kindly, without an audience. Gratitude happens here without applause. When you return to the central terrace, a shadow clock has begun its report, the parapet's line passing slowly across the table's stone, drawing a dark hand that points nowhere particular, and therefore everywhere that matters. You check your breathing against it, in, out, and the hand seems to approve, agreeing to move at the exact rate your lungs prefer. A door of frosted glass slides open, revealing a quiet canteen. Trays sleep in a neat stack. Glasses rest in rows like small chapels. On the counter, a loaf wrapped in linen, a simple knife, a dish of butter that holds the day's temperature perfectly. You cut one slice. The crust speaks a crisp syllable. The crumb releases warmth like a polite sigh. With the first bite, you taste wheat and patience, kitchens and kindness, all the ordinary mercies that noon rewards. At a corner table, a notebook lies open, its lines blue like watercolor sky. The page reads itself slowly, letters making room for one another. At this hour, the world is both task and truce. The towers, now lanterns of day, hold the margin where calm can write. You close the notebook, leave it precisely as you found it, and the canteen glows by half a shade in gratitude. Outside again, the wind has shifted, salt turned to linen, a whisper of river moss becoming a whisper of paper. Afternoon has started, its gentle pivot. Somewhere an elevator sighs, one floor traded for another. You follow that sigh indoors, back toward the corridor where paper and glass meet at right angles, and then relax. A gallery of photographs lines one wall, not portraits, not events, only textures, sun on steel, in rectangles, marble learning to be milk, shadow net of a bridge on water. Two parallel bands of light across a lobby floor. Each frame has a small brass tab below it, engraved with a single word, measured, kind, steady. Together, you walk the words as if walking a path. When you reach the end, a narrow door opens to a listening alcove. Inside, a banquette shaped like a crescent, a low lamp, and a speaker the size of an orange. You sit. Silence blooms, but not empty silence. Silence threaded with building breath. The conditioned airs, patient river, the small click of heat, balancing cool, the far-off thread of that jazz motif, finding a nook in the mid-afternoon. You rest your head back, and the alcove learns your name through posture alone, not the letters. The softness that follows a long exhale. Time passes without the need to count it. When you rise, the banquette keeps your shape, like a promise to remember comfort. The corridor curves and returns to glass, a final south-facing room where the harbor is larger. the water newly blue, the sky an open sleeve. Here the light is strong but not unkind. It lays broad hands upon the floor and blesses it with warmth. A sailboat crosses the mouth of the bay, a small wedge, a steady thought. Past it, the horizon lifts slightly, as if the whole ocean had leaned closer to hear what the city was saying at noon. And there, on the pane opposite to soft reflections, a line again. A reminder, rather than a statement, the way a good friend sits beside you and says nothing because nothing needs to be said. You stand within that companionship, letting it teach your skeleton this simple lesson. Verticals can be tender, the elevator calls. You answer, stepping into the small, polished room that understands moving without hurry. You choose a higher key, a floor that promises wind and view. The car rises, its motor singing the roundest vowel, its rail lending cool to your palm. Doors open onto a lofted platform, close to sky, near enough to hear the air's own pages turn. A compass, Rose, is inlaid at your feet, north, south, east, west. Listen, receive, brighten, return. You step onto return, and the platform obliges, easing you toward the place where the two remembered lanterns feel closest, most companionable. There, you stop, close your eyes. Let the whole afternoon become one vowel of ease. When you open them, the light has begun to tip. Afternoon loosens its tie. The edges of buildings relax. Water acquires the first rumor of amber. From the harbor, a bell speaks the evening's first syllable, and the bridges adjust their strings for dusk. It is time to drift toward twilight, to walk the slow passages where day hands its book to night, to watch the city relight itself, as if memory had learned 1,000 tiny stars, to stand once more in the company of tall, serene forms that know how to receive sky. Carry noon's steadiness into the next chapter. Carry the papers quiet, the glasses patience, the terrace wind that knew your name by breath. Let us turn toward evening, toward westward windows and lanterned plazas, toward the long velvet blue hour where reflections become invitations. Breathe in warm stone, faint salt. Breathe out space and a longer exhale. When you are ready, we will open the door to part 10 and step into the slow bloom of twilight, letting the city place its starlight carefully, one gentle light at a time. The elevator rises once more, a calm exhalation of steel and air. The bell sounds round as a pearl. The doors part, and evening greets you, a slow cascade of indigo brushing every surface. You step into a west-facing hall, its windows wide as memory, its carpet softened to dusk blue. The Hudson stretches beyond, a mirror laid on velvet harbor. Lights beginning their recital. The sun has dropped, but its afterglow lingers, an ember cooling along the horizon. Bridges were their first jewels, tiny sequins of gold, stitched one by one across the sky's dark cloth. The Statue of Liberty glimmers, her torch no longer fire, but star. You move closer to the glass, palms on the cool surface, reflections. Arrive your silhouette, and behind it, two tall guardians of light, not solid, not insistent, only there, patient, steady. Their twin glow lengthens into the river, two silver ladders descending into water that does not forget. The corridor bends into a plaza terrace. Lamps bloom like lantern fruit, casting golden circles on stone. Planters cradle grasses that whisper in the wind, and benches wait with the patience of old friends. you sit. The stone is still warm from the day's long hand. Above, the sky deepens from indigo to velvet, from velvet to onyx, from onyx to something larger than names. The first stars arrive, delicate as breath on glass. They do not crowd, they choose their places with care, and one by one, windows in the city answer. A constellation reversed, stars above, stars below. The towers' outlines become quiet silhouettes framed in light. Two lanterns that guide not ships but attention. A breeze moves through the plaza, carrying scents of the evening salt, iron, a trace of jasmine from somewhere unseen, and the faintest echo of roasted chestnut from a cart folded for the night. You breathe it in, long and deep, and release it slowly, as if your exhale were meant to join the wind. Somewhere, that jazz motif curls out again, a saxophone ribbon, a brush, on cymbal. It threads between benches, slips along the rail, dances with the grasses, then ascends up glass, up steel, into sky. The plaza shifts, not in shape, but in feeling. Stone softens into water, lamps into stars, benches into clouds.
You realize
You are drifting again, not walking, not sailing, but gliding across a bridge woven of memory and imagination. The twin towers remain in view, not fixed, but fluid, their forms dissolving gently into the night's embrace. They are no longer buildings, they are beacons of reflection, anchors for your attention as you drift farther outward. Ahead, the horizon opens like a book with no last page. It invites without urgency, suggests without commanding. Every star is a syllable, every window a comma, every reflection a pause. Together, they write a sentence you do not need to finish. You lean back, letting shoulders melt, letting breath find its rhythm. The city below becomes a sea of lanterns, the towers a pair of tall candles, and you, a traveler of stillness, floating between. The breeze carries one more whisper, low and kind, continue. And so you do, not toward ending, not toward arrival, but toward the wide open dream, a horizon without edge, a sky without ceiling, a memory that chooses to stay. Your breath slows, becomes the city's breath, becomes the night's, in and out, a rhythm as old as tide, as tall as light. The journey does not close, it lingers, it waits. It continues beyond the page, beyond the towers, beyond the hour. Where it leads, only your dreaming heart will know.